Do you go through people transitioning through grief like that as well?
Oh, listen, there's grief in just losing your job. Two things come up for me. Number one, I suggest that people not make any decisions for at least a year in retirement. Do some exploring, do some touching on things. It's back to the old idea. Don't be attached to the end result because so many opportunities will be open to you if you're just open to those things and you experience that. So grief, absolutely. I got to tell you, in Canada for sure, the number one divorces are ages from 55 up. So all of a sudden, people in retirement are getting divorced. People in their 60s, people in their 70s are getting divorced now.
Welcome to the Golden Years Empowerment Podcast. This is where we help folks 50 plus stay strong, sharp, and thrive to 95 plus. I'm your host, Gail Nichols. I am a certified coach and speaker, registered nurse, and a healthy longevity proponent. I'm really delighted to introduce to you Susan Patterson. She's the founder of SPG Consulting in Ontario, Canada. She's helping individuals navigate major life transitions to discover their strengths and embrace the next stage of life with clarity and confidence. She's also the sister of my nursing roommate. So many years ago, Gail Patterson, she and I spent 3 years together in nursing school as roommates and co-conspirators of the great life. I want to welcome you, Susan. So excited to have you here. Tell me a little bit about where you're situated in Canada.
Just about 60 miles west of Toronto in
60 miles west
Ontario.
of Toronto. Okay, yes.
In
Okay.
a town called Waterloo. There's two universities here and a college, and yeah, it is a university town for sure.
How
Yeah.
long have you been there?
It is going to be 10 years next year.
What attracted you to move to Waterloo?
I was far enough away from family that they had to like pack up and come for the weekend, and I just felt that I just wanted to be closer. It's kind of like being open, right? It is, do not be attached to the end result because I never thought it was going to be Waterloo. I walked into this place and I loved it. And in 3 hours, it was mine.
What inspired you to create your business with around what you do now? And please explain a little bit more about what does SPG stand for?
SG it stands for Shaping Potential Growth. When I was younger, I did an assessment. And I'm talking about probably late 30s, early 40s. And it was an assessment on personality. And it was such an aha moment for me because what I learned was that, the conflict I had within myself or trying to be who I wasn't, it was huge. And that I brought different gifts to the table rather than trying to fit into bringing the typical gifts to the table. You remember that Remington commercial? There was a commercial on TV about a shaver. And the guy got on and he said, I love the shaver so much I bought the company. I love this assessment so much that I just went on and got certified in other Myers-Briggs. There's a company in the States called True Colors. In Canada, where personality mentioned, but you name it, Enneagram. I'm a certified life coach, and I was a return to work specialist with an insurance company. It's kind of interesting. The whole family was in insurance, but I didn't sell. I just got people back to work. And why I started SPG was because it's hard to believe, but people just didn't want to see me and return to work sometimes. Wanted to bring that brought joy for me. So I started SPG Consulting. I worked with youth. I worked with adults. I worked with people who were were part of a reorg in a business. I worked with businesses. I worked with government, nonprofit and profit, for-profit organizations. It just opened this world. I wanted to let people know how awesome they are. Because I think that you go through life and you You are what you do. You aren't what you are. I think that in retirement, what I see is when I do retirement coaching or when I do workshops with people who are retired, there's just such an amazing feeling that I have that they have that aha moment. And because it is about the next part of your life. A lot of people identify with what they did. And so when they retire, it's like, now who am I? What do I do from here on in? So that's the awesome part of this. So, big long story about a short answer.
That's exactly what I was hoping you would say. I know that I've read and I've observed that men in particular seem to identify with what they do. And when they retire, I believe the statistic is within 5 years, a lot of guys die because they subconsciously have told themselves, well, I don't matter anymore. My job is over. And so I might as well just check out. So the body accommodates them. They just shut everything down. Women in particular seem to have a broader view of their life. Yes, it is what they do, but they're doing so many different things that just don't end on a certain day. So their family responsibilities continue forever, it seems, and also possibly hobbies that they've developed. So I know probably a lot of coaching with guys before they retire would be helpful. Do you do any of that in helping them prepare for transition?
Absolutely. You know, my partner is an associate that works for SPG Consulting, was in the financial world for a long time, years. And what he saw was that there's a lot of workshops on, how to financially retire, but there's nothing on what do you need to do then on. And I think you're right about the statistics, but I think also there's a real big social component too, and a purpose. So it's just guiding people to a new purpose. What do you see? Because, oh my goodness, everybody's got transferable skills. And I'm working with a client right now who was in HR for years, um and he's looking at either working in a grocery store as the service person, um, or he said, well, my breeder might be just kind of cool. He's an extroverted person. Extroversion and introversion is another component that we got to look at when we're doing some coaching. Extroverts sort their energy. They get their energy from the outside world, whereas introverts get it from their inside. They do a lot of reflection inside. And so driving that also as a component is such an aha moment for them when they're drained at the end of the day. Well, what did you do? Introverted person. Well, I was with a lot of people. Yeah, for sure. So there's that component also.
You have a framework that I read in your material. It says discover, achieve, transition, explore. Can you tell me more about that framework?
And it came down to let's make a date. DATE TE. So let's make a date on that. Achieve a greater understanding of what makes you who you are and others who they are. Explore and identify your retirement hopes, dreams. You got to look at the potential challenges here too. It's all about what are your core values and transitioning into the next phase of your life for sure. So it's just a matter of what are the tools you need for that successful transition.
And I know in transitioning through my life as I was growing up, I never really planned any of those things. Things just came along and I got into something and it would lead a certain path and then some other event would happen and it would take me on another fork in the road. Just 2 years ago, I was living the dream life with my husband. We had been together for 36 years. We built businesses together. We were joined at the hip. We were together 24/7. And all of a sudden, one morning, he dropped dead. That was it. I was so angry with him that he had the nerve to leave without saying goodbye. We had all these plans. We had things that we were doing. And now I had to reinvent myself. It took months. Settled on a path now with my coaching, my speaking, my podcasting. I'm really excited about the podcast. I had to find out what is my purpose, just like you said. Do you go through people transitioning through grief like that as well?
Listen, there's grief in just losing your job. Two things come up for me. Number one, I suggest that people not make any decisions for at least a year in retirement. Do some exploring, do some touching on things. It's back to the old idea. Don't think that don't be attached to the end result, because so many opportunities will be open to you if you're just open to those things and you experience that. So grief absolutely listen, I got to tell you, in Canada for sure, the number one divorces are ages from 55 on. So all of a sudden, people in retirement are getting divorced. People in their 60s, people in their 70s are getting divorced now. Listen, we don't retire and die in 5 years. We retire and have a 30-year career in retirement, whatever that looks like. And 20 years may be very active, and the rest are just, it may be just settling down. So know that I'm sorry for your loss, and you're not alone in this, in the sense that, divorce rates are high in retirement. And it's because people have never spent 24/7. You had a great ride where you worked and lived together. Most married couples work separately, raise children together, parenting. And then when they're 24/7, that's new for them. So I think that also is something that you have to really look at in retirement. And we, in fact, have retirement and relationships course, because I think that it's really important to understand that the way you think isn't necessarily the way everybody else in the room thinks.
Surprise!
I know. For me, it's communication. It is this idea of, we need to learn how to communicate with each other, um, and bring forward our gifts, and let people also bring their gifts forward.
So then we're talking about spouses and their transitions. Do you find that siblings also, there's transitioning how you've related to your siblings, your brothers and sisters, and other people? Do people go through those types of transitions over time as well?
Well, I think that I have been wonderfully blessed with people who are open to taking the next assessment that I'm being certified in. So I think, for me, not only do I know where they're coming from and learning that, it must have been tough for one of my brothers, because he was the only introvert in the family. And he was around people who were just loud and big. And that just, showed a different perspective. I think, though, it isn't about siblings, it's about relationships. Whether it's the relationship with it could start right at work, coworkers, it could be siblings, it could be in a marriage, it could be in your social groups, it could be at school, it could be anywhere. It's all about relationships and communication and how you can get along better in that kind of world.
Well, I can identify with your brother because I'm an introvert. I never thought about whether I was an introvert or an extrovert. I'm an adventurer. So ever since I was a little kid, I actually, when I was a kid, I used to knock on doors and sell greeting cards and pictures of Jesus and things like that. I don't know where they appeared from. My mother obviously had a hand in it, but I've always felt comfortable about selling, which you would think would mean that I would be an extrovert, but I'm really not. I am so comfortable being on my own. I loved having my husband because we were both adventurers, but I am not in any rush to get back into a relationship at all, if ever. I really like my space. I can spend days, weeks together with myself. I go on vacations by myself. I love myself. And I guess that awareness of being an introvert gradually dawned on me when I was taking my coaching courses and took the Myers-Briggs and other courses. I have had a therapist for 3 or 4 sessions trying to deal with the grief, and she took me through some assessments, and I was kind of, Oh, really? That's interesting. Never thought about things that way. So, how would you help listeners identify their unique strengths and their stressors? How do you do that?
Through assessments. I mean, honestly, it is just let's start at the beginning. Let's see who you are. It is an assessment that is just pretty easy, and it has some results as far as this is who you. We're just going to give you a blueprint of who you are. Where you go with that, that's where the coaching begins. That's where we are a blend of all, like you did the Myers-Briggs, for instance. We're a blend of all those types. We're a blend of all those colors. And so moving forward would be, what do you want to bring with you? And in that situation, we start too with a wheel. The wheel has 6 different areas that you need to look at. And you rate yourself. I think that, a wellness wheel or a life wheel, and you rate yourself on where you're going. Our whole focus here is, is it going to be a bumpy ride moving forward, or do you want a smooth ride going forward? And I think that what my associate and I are trying to get out there is that retirement is re-tire. You got to retire your vehicle to move forward here. Is it going to be that bumpy ride or not? And so it's just a bunch of information. Take what you want and leave the rest pretty well. Moving forward, let's go.
So, if somebody was feeling stuck, they just didn't know what road to take, they're hearing people suggest things, they're facing a fork in their road or transition coming up, but they're feeling stuck about it. What would you recommend that they do?
See a retirement coach. They are, or a life coach, but I would get I walk the talk. I think that you have to do some work on that. You don't want a 23-year-old coaching you on retirement because they just don't have the experience going into that. It doesn't have to be work. It could be just support. It could be a spiritual person. But yeah, we're just part of the big picture. I love networking and go to get some courses underneath you, join some groups. You're going to find the information you need. And again, do not be attached to that end result. It's not going to be what you think it's going to be.
Speaking of spiritual, I understand that you marry people, that you're a wedding officiant. Is that something you actively do?
Actually, I am an ordained minister, and I've retired from that. My last wedding is going to be in March of next year. I'm retiring on Women's Day, March 8th. 2026. That part is done, and I need to open some doors to other experiences. I've done
Wow.
it for almost 20 years now. It's all about what gives you joy, right? Think of the J words, joy and a job. If it's a job, you might not be as motivated as you would be if it's joy. And I think that where I see ministry going now, for me personally, it doesn't meet my enthusiasm.
Right, right. I hear you. Yes. Well, when my husband passed and I hadn't been to a church for, I don't know, 50 years, I thought, yeah, I should join a community. And it was great. I really felt
Was.
it was very supportive. The minister at the time was great. I ended up stopping going there a few months ago because it just no longer served my purposes. But there are times and seasons for that, for whatever support you need
Absolutely.
as you're going through these life's transitions. Don't feel that that you have to stay with something just because it serves you at this time. It's part of the mosaic. It's part of just getting back on your feet, finding out what your purpose is next, and be okay with that was then and this is now kind of thing.
This is now.
So, in closing, what does thriving in your golden years mean to you personally?
Oh, stay active. You know what? Stay positive, stay active, whatever that means for you. And watch what you say. Just watch your language. It is all about positivity for me. And, it is putting the 100% into this day. And 100% could be I spend the day in bed reading a book. It doesn't matter. It's just stay in the day. Stay in the day.
Excellent. Well, I really appreciate you taking the time from your busy lifestyle, but I see it, having gone through it myself now, very relevant to everybody to learn more about their styles, their purpose, and so on. And I appreciate SPG. So if somebody wanted to find you, how and they wanted to work with you, how would they find you?
They can reach me at SPG Consulting at hotmail.com. I'm on LinkedIn under Susan Patterson.
Yes. Okay, great. I think looking under SPG Consulting on LinkedIn would be the key to finding SPG Consulting and Susan Patterson.
Perfect.
Thank you so much, Susan, for joining me on our podcast today. Okay.
There's a link that you can click on so you can grab your free guide. It's called 7 Daily Habits to Stay Strong, Sharp, and Thrive to 95. It's packed with simple, powerful routines that you can take on right now, the things that I am doing, and I can prove that they work. So you can start feeling healthier and younger every day, live your best at any age. So just click that link in the description below.